Hello AOS fans, it's me Pete, and I'm here to try my first live deck video review. Much like Robin's been doing, hopefully I can get onto form. What do I do if I click this? Ooh, look at that. Ooh, here we go. This is how much live it is. I'm fiddling with it even as we speak. Ooh. So, what have I got? I'm going to be bringing Wurmspat for this game, and it's against Condemners. Now, this deck isn't of my own construction. It is one that one of our patrons, Andrew, has come up with, and it's definitely got some good points here. It's focusing on the fact that you don't have maybe very many fighters. You don't have many chances to kill people. You need to capitalise and all that. So as you can see, we've got things like Sudden Growth and Tome of Offerings over here to try and really get Fecula up to speed with Well of Power and such like that. So I'm just going to run through the deck, tell you what we've got, what I'm hoping to do with it all, and you can see how it does on the day. So the first card we got is One Fate. Now, you might be thinking, One Fate, why have you got that card in here? But this is a little trick that Andrew's come up with, which works quite well. You get, here, can I find them? You get the Arcane Familiar, which allows you to turn any one thing into a lightning when you roll your dice. And you also get the Wretchling, which enables you to turn any one thing into a lightning when you roll your dice. You also need Will of Power, so it does need the 3 upgrades on. But once you have Will of Power and you have those 2 upgrades on you, or rather once you have those 3 upgrades on you, scoring 1 Fate is almost guaranteed, because you roll 3 dice. As long as you get 1 lightning in there, you can turn the other 2 to lightnings, and 1 Fate is scored. It can be very handy to have a 2 Glory instant scorecard that is pretty much on demand. You could also be lucky and just roll 3 hammers when you make an attack or something like that as well. So that gives you that guaranteed 2 instant score glory. Next one is Strong Start. Kill someone, first in the round. That can be trickier against someone like Condemners, but it's great against people like Grimwatch, against the Gits, against Skellies, against Ghosts, all those kind of people. So it's definitely a good card to have in there. Next one is Overpower. Roll a crit when you're casting rolls. Well, there's about 5 spells in here, and you've got Fecula's spell attack, and she's going to be rolling 2 or 3 dice every time, so that should be easy to achieve. Strange Demise next, which again is kill someone by causing damage from a spell or a spell attack. Hopefully that's going to be fairly easy to do. Fateful Strike is next. Now, I'm not sure about this one personally, but they really are thin on instant scorecards that they can really work well with here. So you've got Fateful Strike, which is successful attack action against someone with 2 defense dice. Now, Condemners, they will be rolling 2 defense dice once inspired, so hopefully that's going to be fairly doable for me. It definitely is much easier to achieve when you have Fecula rolling 3 dice and able to turn any of the values into lightnings, which pretty much gives you a guaranteed hit every time, and your opponent really starts to put the pressure on your opponent to have to roll lots of crits. Sorcerous Volley next. Again, I think this is a great one if you've got a caster in your warband. Make 2 spell attack actions against the same target. Don't have to be successful attack actions, just 2 spell attack actions. The only problem with this one, of course, is it ties up 2 activations to score 1 glory instant surge card. But, again, I think that the Wurmspat, they have a bit of a problem at the minute trying to find really good instant score objectives. Then also got Fired Up, have at least one person inspired. Well, this has a lot of chip damage in here, so hopefully that's going to be achievable. Keep Chopping, again, with Fecula and her ranged attack. That should be fairly easy to achieve as well. Magical Storm, cast 4 spells. Now, there's 5 spells in here, and spell attacks do count as well, so hopefully that one should be fairly achievable as well. Chosen Warriors, which is basically kill 3 people and have at least one of your people alive again, versus the Condemners. Not 100% sure this is going to be a great card to take, but against your Skellies, against your Ghosts, against Grimwatch, all those lot, it's pretty much a guaranteed win, and it's 2 glory, which is very handy. Faithful Reward, which is have friendly fights inspired, almost identical to Fired Up, but again, should be fairly easy to score. And Rotbringers, which is cast 2 or more spells. Well, that goes very nicely with Magical Storm, having cast 4 spells. If you've done one, hopefully if you've got the other one in your hand, you've done that one as well. So overall, 16 glory. Not masses, but there are other things in here as well, so we'll come on to those in a moment. Then have some pretty standard cards to pick, like Distraction. You want that to knock people off objectives, or possibly push people on objectives, or push them onto an edge hex, depending, because we also have Lethal Ward, do 1 damage to someone staying on an objective. Most people are going after objectives, so you might as well have a card in there that gives you a way of doing a guaranteed 1 damage and start to get those 3 people wounded or dead criteria set up for inspiring. Then have Collapse, which is, it's a great card in this situation as well. Again, you might be able to use Distraction, shove people onto edge hexes. Better against the more numerous warbands, possibly trickier to pull off against the Condemners. but still there for another one damage chip. Nightmare in the Shadows, so 2 distractions effectively in this deck. Again, handy for shoving people into the right place so you can do those chip damage, maybe get more than one person onto the edge, and then do multiple damage with the Collapse card. And Unnatural Truth, because you want to get your cards out as quickly as you can. This helps you power through your deck. It's only 20 cards, so that's a really handy card to have. You don't have to stand on an objective either. It's just get rid of one. You don't even get rid of one, so you just draw 2, your opponent draws 1. So again, you'd have to make that difficult choice of, oh, which upgrade do I get rid of here? And then spells wise, we've got Abyssos's Unmaking. Pretty standard one. Get rid of an objective, handy for screwing up your opponent if they're going after objectives. Also helps casting a spell because it's 1 lightning, which is almost guaranteed, especially if you have any of your upgrades on. Abyssos's Withering. Great to start really whittling down the damage. Now, that doesn't help you towards your inspiration mechanic because it just reduces their wound characteristic by 1. It doesn't cause a wound, but it can still be helpful to try and get people more and more close to death so you can one-shot somebody. And again, it's just 1 lightning, so almost a guaranteed score. Vital Surge. Now, 2 lightnings. Again, if you've got your upgrades on, that's pretty much a guaranteed cast spell. Remove 2 wounds from a friendly fighter. That could be very handy if you've got someone who's near death. And it helps you towards another of your cast X amount of spells. Segat Salvo next. It's a 1 damage, so it's chip spell. It pushes someone a hex as well, which is handy. 2 lightnings. If you've got your upgrades, it's fairly easy to score, to cast at least, and that helps you score your objectives with casting more spells. And it's got a fairly good range on it, so again, that's a really handy spell to have to really help up that chip damage as you go along. And Eldritch Haze. Now, this one I'm least sure of. It's 1 swirly, which we don't have any way of mitigating the reliability of that. Is there a better spell to put in over this one? I don't know, but it does help towards your casters and feculars' survivability if you need it. It does have the potential, we'll see in a moment with the upgrades, to be completely useless though, so I don't know if there's a better lightning based spell that I might take instead of this one. But that's about the only card out of this lot that I really think is maybe one I'd consider getting rid of. We then have our fighter restrictions, our upgrades. So we've got some 6 with no fight restrictions and 4 with. So the 4 with are fairly easy to explain. Arcane Familiar for Fecular to help with all the spells and the upgrades, objectives. We then have Well of Power to give it that +1 level. Rolling 3 dice once inspired can be very helpful indeed for getting all these spell attacks off and spells. Eldritch Ward, reducing damage by 1, always handy. Plus with her shields, maybe you can reduce it even further. And the Wretchling. Turn another dice into a lightning, pretty much guaranteeing you 1 fate if you have the other 3 upgrades on there as well, or the other 2 upgrades on there as well. And you can't be dealt damage by backlash, which is very helpful as well. It means you can roll dice with impunity and not have to worry about suffering any damage at all, which if you're on 1 wound left, it can be a very tricky situation to be in. For the non-fight restricted ones, we've got Great Strength. Let's put maybe on Gulgok to up his damage from 2 to 3 and make him even scarier than he already is. Or maybe put it on, Sexpus. He could do his spinny attack, although neither the spinny attack's probably not going to be useful against the Condemners, but upping Sexpus to 4 damage, now that's scary. Glory Seeker next, +1 damage when you're targeting a fighter with 4 wounds. Now that would be very handy against someone like the Condemners, less handy against some other people, but it means you could put that card, because it doesn't necessarily have to be an attack action, it could be a spell attack action. You could then have Fecular, her little 1 damage ping attack, could actually be doing 2 damage against Stormcast, could actually be quite terrifying once you start to factor in some of the other cards like Lethal Ward, Collapse, or Segat Salvo, that kind of thing, so very handy there. Failing that, you can put it on someone like Sexpus and go hunting with a 5 damage attack. Sudden Growth next, because I think that's a given in this kind of deck. You want to up your wounds, get Fecular somewhere in the middle of the board and put that on her. It's not going to matter if she can't move very far, because she'll have the range to take on most people. The Tome of Offerings, one of the other restricted cards. Tome of Offerings, probably want to put that one on Fecular. Get Glory Seeker on her, get, all her other upgrades on. She's going to be doing lots of ping damage, lots of spells, casting, flying around everywhere. So that could rack you up a lot of extra glory. Again, I'm not sure if it's going to be useful against the Condemners, but it's useful against nearly everybody else. Next one is Substance Stifle. Now this one is almost a guarantee for Fecular. After round 1, she's only still rolling 1 shield, but you put this on and she's rolling 2 dodge. That is fractionally better than 1 shield. Gives you more chance of rolling more shields to reduce incoming damage and that kind of thing. This is the reason why I'm not 100% sure on Eldritch Haze. If you get Substance Siphon out before Eldritch Haze, then Eldritch Haze is useless. If you get it out after Eldritch Haze, but in the same round, you cast Eldritch Haze, but then it becomes moot once you put Substance Siphon on her. So that's the reason why I'm wondering whether I'd keep Eldritch Haze or not. But, you know, if you get these out in the right order, Eldritch Haze round 1, Substance Siphon round 2, then you're laughing. And the last one is Survival Instincts. This fire is a quarry. If they're a quarry, they're on guard. Now, you put this on, you know, Golgok or Sexpus, or you could put it on Fecula, really, if she's got Substance Siphon on her. And that makes them quite tough to shift, because once they're on guard, they're rolling 2 dice when inspired, possibly 3 if they've got the Substance Siphon on, and they're getting shields and dodges, which is all pretty tasty stuff. Now, like I say, this isn't my deck, but I do like it. I'm not sure whether I prefer this one over the other deck that Andrew had sent us. The other one was a bit more magic heavy, didn't have Tome of Offerings and a few bits like that in there, but I don't know. I think this one could do very well against certain warbands, especially like your Grimwatch and your Thorns, because it's lots of chip damage all over the place, and then you've got Fecula ping off more damage, possibly 2 with Glory Seeker as well in certain situations. So, yeah, there's definitely some plus sides to this one, and I can definitely see, I mean, when you get the Arcane Familiar, Well of Power, and the Wretchling onto Fecula, I mean, you don't even need to roll dice. You just start rolling to see how many crits you can get, and that can be really morally destroying for your opponent, because it really puts pressure on, even if they're rolling 2 dice, to start having to roll those crits, which if they can't manage it, when you combine it with things like Segat Salvo and Avassos Withering and stuff like that, it can really start to threaten a lot of fighters. Things like Lethal Ward as well. The only thing I can't figure out here is, would I drop Sudden Growth for the Sphere of Akshi to get another +1 damage spell in there? I don't know. It seems to work quite well as it is, so I guess we'll see how it goes when I play it on the night. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. If Andrew sees them, maybe he'll answer you as well and give you his lowdown on this. Anyway, I'll see you soon in the Beastgrave.